Welcome to the driver's seat. We're wrapping up a week with the all-new 2021 Toyota Sienna. All the Siennas now have a 2.5-liter four-cylinder hybrid engine, which really falls in line with Toyota's philosophy. You have an optional all-wheel drive system, which is very important for a lot of people in colder climate. So let's turn this camera around, go for a little ride, and I'll kind of give you my review of this all-new Sienna. So we are inside our 2021 Sienna. It's interesting that we happened to park right across from an older Sienna model, and you can see how much it's evolved. The design language has gotten so much more contemporary, not just on the exterior, but also on the interior. I absolutely love what they've done here. You have 4 cup holders, a ton of storage space, USBs everywhere, lots of cubbies. You have your key wireless charger, of course, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Still have analog gauges, which I like. Just a pleasant place to be. Lots of room for everything. We won't even get into the back seats, the second and third row seats, which are extremely flexible. Everything you'd expect. Look, minivans are a commodity. Yes, I said that. You have the Honda Odyssey, Toyota Sienna, Chrysler Pacifica, and Kia now has renamed theirs the Carnival, which we haven't driven yet. But those are your main minivans. There used to be a lot more, but Americans like minivans in the 80s. They migrated to SUVs in the 90s, and then for the past 15, 20 years, it's been about the crossover. And you could really start to blur the lines when you look at a Pilot versus an Odyssey, or a Highlander versus a Sienna. Very similar, except of course you get the sliding doors. But they're on the same platform. They drive very much the same, and they just keep getting better and better. One thing with the Sienna in the past, it didn't offer all-wheel drive. Now you have that as an option. And because they are the hybrid kings of the world, no one's done more hybrids than Toyota as a brand. They just decided to just go 100% hybrid with the Sienna, just like they did with the new Venza. So that's the direction they're going, which is almost like training wheels for electric vehicles. But the vehicle is nice. It sits nicely on the road. You're going to spend about between 40 and 50 for a nice one. This one's about 47, and it's got plenty of power. It's got all the technology you would want. The seats are comfortable. I know minivans have a certain stigma. I've said it before. I'll say it again. But okay, get past that stigma. You are, more than likely someone who is a parent and has kids and needs a minivan because it just makes sense. It's so much more economical and practical than a crossover or an SUV. At least Americans have evolved out of the SUV craze and into the crossover craze, which is a little bit better. It's certainly much closer in DNA to a minivan than an SUV. So that's that kind of summarizes. You've got several trim levels, and starting price is right around 35,000. Fully loaded, you're going to be pushing 50. So it's got a nice broad range of different trim levels. Of course, we're going to be driving the higher end This is the XSE, which is kind of their sportier model, and they did a nice job. For take it for what it's worth. I mean, it's not a sports car, but it certainly has some really nice styling cues that make it sportier. And why not? Just because you're driving a family car doesn't mean that you should look like you're driving a family car. There's nothing wrong with a little style, and I think Toyota's done a good job with it. But so have the other brands, especially Chrysler, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what different trim levels Kia is going to have with their new Carnival. So, I've always been a fan of minivans. I think they're very practical, but it's a tough sell. You are either in or out. I know a lot of people I know that I've tried to convince to get into getting a minivan. They feel like they're losing some of their identity, as a cool, person versus now being this uncool parent, which I think is silly. It's ridiculous, but that is the stereotype out there. I think they're very practical, and I think they and I think right now consumers have great options. Sienna, Odyssey, Pacifica, and Carnival, some really solid choices, and you can't go wrong with any of them. But I am definitely a little partial towards the Odyssey and the Sienna. I'm Ron Doran. Thanks for watching. See you next time on The Driver's Seat.